as we all know, we're seeing throughout the COVID-19 outbreak, a lot of big problems that have really cropped up, whether it's, we see the emotional distancing, we see, people who are unable to fully have their needs met in terms of food or healthcare. And so, but what we're also seeing is that a whole lot of people are reaching out to try to address those solutions or provide those solutions. But as they're doing it kind of by themselves. And so one of the things that we really seek to do, and it was really the beginnings, kind of the driver behind everything we do, is really to try to help create collaboration. There's a lot of big problems, and unfortunately, if we try to tackle those alone, we end up spending a ton of effort. We spend a lot of, basically a lot of resources to be able to try to get to a solution. And oftentimes the solution, it doesn't actually meet the needs. And in fact, we end up being saturated with a whole variety of different ways to approach things rather than everybody coming together and trying to really tackle things in a way that's meaningful. So as we've created Bridge Builder Strategies, our goal is really to be able to come alongside and to be able to create impact by being able to help create and inspire community. And it's to be able to tackle those big problems. And as we do that, it really builds on my past experience. So to give you a little bit of background about me, I am the founder and CEO of the company. I spent 30 years at Eli Lilly. I worked in sales, I worked in marketing, and then the last 11 years I was there, I spent in corporate affairs. And at a big company like Lilly, my role was really to be able to work with a whole variety of different groups to be able to bring them together to be able to tackle some of the biggest problems in healthcare. One of the areas that I was responsible for was being able to help improve detection and diagnosis of dementia. And so we were able to take that work and we really spun that work forward to be able then to help us move to where we are today. So as you see from the website that I've got showing here, we really like to be able to do this in a couple of different ways. And we approach it by connecting people, transforming communities, and creating impact. It all starts with relationships, and I think Jennifer did a really nice job of being able to describe her approach and how it really builds on relationships. We are very relational. As we've seen more and more things shift digital, we've also seen things become more transactional. And as we strip those relationships out, it makes it that much harder to actually get to trust and collaboration. And so our goal is to be able to help bring people together as a starting point, help create trust, help create collaboration. And then in doing that, to be able to really work towards a shared vision about what needs to take place. And it's being able to bring business, government, nonprofits all together to be able to tackle that. And to be able then to do it in a way that creates measurable impact. In many cases, if you talk with both nonprofits as well as these collaborative groups, many can't really give you a sense in terms of how they're actually measuring their impact. And that's one of the things that we want to bring to the table. So as we do this, we've really tried to tackle it in two ways. The first is to really bring custom design solutions. So I'll give you just a couple of examples of things that we've been able to do. There's a group based in Washington, D.C. called the Coalition to Transform Advanced Care. This is a group, and I think it's particularly interesting at a time like this when we see loved ones unable to actually spend time with their loved ones who are in the hospital, that are really on death's door and trying to actually be there for them during those end days. CTAC works to be able to help ensure that healthcare is both patient-centered and family-centered rather than being system-centered. And what we're seeing, and part of it is based on just the need today, very, very system-centered. So as we work with them, we've actually helped to be able to bring together coalitions from across the U.S. to try to help equip them with how to actually build communities and build collaborative efforts. And then on an ongoing basis, we work with them to be able to continue to build out their skills and help them be that much more effective. Ultimately, we've been able to build a nationwide community to bring all these together. and we're seeing that group grow. And that's been super exciting to see. Another project that we've done, also somewhat in the healthcare space, has been working with the Hendricks County Community Foundation. And the Lilly Endowment had a grant proposal out, or an offering, a request for proposal from the various foundations, community foundations across the state. Hendricks County had done some background research. They identified 2 areas that they needed to be able to address. One being really a healthy community and really community leadership. And then the other was community health. So we were able to work with them to actually create a concept paper that's gone to the endowment that really outlines how we can actually improve community health. And it's really about how do we reach out across the whole entire community? How do we actually bring people together? And how do we actually, encourage the use of technology as a means to be able to help support those efforts? So those are just a couple of examples of custom design work that we've done. We do a lot of work where we'll bring the faith-based community and other nonprofits together, people that don't typically work together, but really because of the networks that we have both locally and nationally, we're able then to help people come together, craft that vision, and be able to move forward. The other thing that we've also been working on, because we really believe that as we're trying to transform communities, that we've got to be able to work not only at the community level, but we've got to be able to work backwards to the organization and to the individual levels as well. And so we've created a variety of different suites of products. The one I'm going to highlight is called Engage. And this is really meant to focus on nonprofits, and it's really intended to be able to help them improve their volunteer experience. Volunteers are critical to nonprofits. Basically, they not only serve to be able to help offset workforce needs, but they also are the pipeline both in terms of donors and of future leaders. And what we're seeing as we've done our research is that many of the organizations that we work with just don't do a good job with this. And so what we've done is created a series of tools that help them assess what that looks like. We have workshops, we have other checklists and templates that help them. We're working with one organization now where we'll likely come in and serve as a virtual volunteer coordinator. And we've also looked at being able to actually build out different experiences so that as they're trying to better engage these individuals, that we're able to help them achieve that. So as I said, our goal is really to be able to help connect people, transform communities, and create impact. And again, we do that at these various levels. And that's just a couple of examples of the work that we're doing and the types of groups that we're working with. Happy to take questions.
I have 3 questions for you, but they're easy, I promise.
Okay.
Well, I think. Are you guys like Tom Miller and Associates in the type of work that you do? No, okay.
No, so here's what I would say though. So Tom Miller is very focused on economic development. And economic development is one area that we do work in. So it's healthcare, health and aging, education, and then community economic development. So that's one place that we're doing it. There's things that we're doing that we've got a couple projects in the works around economic development, but it's really intended to kind of bring together different groups of people. The one in particular will look a lot like, it basically kind of takes some of the things that have happened in Fishers with what they've done around the IoT lab and Launch Fishers, but to really be able to amplify that. So our work is different than what Tom's Miller does.
Great. Yeah, I'd love to know more. We'll connect more later. But and then my other question was if you work with lobbyists, but we can talk offline about that because I'd be happy to make introductions with people in that same kind of space doing similar work. And then my third question was, are you guys like, have you heard of Selflessly?
Yes. Yeah, I know Josh. I know Josh very well. Our work is different because Josh really takes the perspective of trying to do everything from an IT platform. And I think there's a lot that you can do. My background, in addition to being at Lilly, I also am an adjunct at Butler. I've got a doctorate in marketing, and my dissertation was actually focused on corporate social responsibility. And I think there's a lot that we can do with technology, but the thing about this that we recognize is that and if an organization doesn't have the capabilities and the capacity, that even if you give them that tool, they're not going to be able to use it. In a sense, it's kind of like giving somebody who is not accustomed to construction, a tool that a professional would definitely use. And I think Josh is doing great work, but I think it's meant for, there's a certain audience that it's meant for, and our group is a little bit different, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And you guys could maybe work together and share and the journey at least. Yeah, that's good that you know him.
Yeah, he's doing really nice work.
You still got 4 minutes or so. I'll throw one out there. So as a non-for-profit, I'm interested to know specifically what are some of the ways that you are kind of connecting fellow nonprofits and those resources together. Can you give me an example?
Yeah, so we will finish out the first series of these on Thursday. We've created a series, Engage series, where we've invited up to 20 nonprofits to come together over a 5-week period of time to really talk about some of the key issues as it relates to volunteering and the volunteer experience. So the first one really focuses on how do you, what is a model that you need to look at? And so it involves everything from attracting and recruiting those volunteers to onboarding, to matching, and ultimately then to being able to recognize those volunteers. So it's a copyrighted process that we've developed, and the assessment that we've got is based off of that. But then what we've done, that's that first the first one, and then we talk about the individual experience. We've talked about the group experience. We've talked about how to approach it from a virtual perspective, because now obviously at this time many of the nonprofits have actually shut down their volunteering experiences, which is unfortunate, because now is actually the time to be able to actually get people while they have time and energy to be able to expose the nonprofit to that group. And then we're also talking about how do you also focus on teams, and even how do you engage with schools. One of the things that we're seeing is there's a lot of service-based learning, and you'll get a number of the nonprofits that will be approached by these schools for their students to be able to be involved. And to be honest with you, oftentimes it may be a benefit to the student. It's probably not as beneficial as it could be. And it's certainly not beneficial to the nonprofit, because it ends up being kind of this time suck. So our thought is, there's ways that we want to be able to give back. And so we've created this. We'll actually kick off the second series. And it's really meant, again, just to bring people together to talk about these issues. We'll start that in 2 weeks. So we're excited about that as well.
So I'm seeing that Jeff just posted here this Engage Volunteerism series. You guys are doing something on Zoom?
Yeah, it's on Zoom. Yep.
May the 5th.
It's on Thursdays from 12 to 1. And we've had a great turnout. We've had folks from Special Olympics, from BOSMA, from Outreach, and others. So we've been really pleased with the initial offering. And again, the way we've set this up is there's no cost to those organizations. It's a way for us to be able to give back. And then ultimately what our goal is, by being able to do that and expose them to some of the things, to one another, it helps create community. But then it also gives them a chance to hear from us, and gives us a chance to share more about what we're trying to do.
Well, I think that's fantastic. So thank you. We've still got another couple of minutes. Any further questions for these guys?
I don't have a question, but I think it's really cool that on your website, I can see a cluster truck, which is where I order food, because I live right down the street. I'm like, this is like out of the library, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's a cool shot, man. Yeah, anyway, cool website.
Thank you.
Hey, Mike, do you mind introducing Jeff, since he's also on the call?
Absolutely. So Jeff Shields is also with us. He is our CFO, or excuse me, CFO. He is our chief of staff and chief operating officer. So he basically manages all of helps us manage project management, as well as the finances, and keeps all the trains running on time.
Yeah, thank you. This has been really good. I love doing things like this. My background real quick is 20 years in education. I've been middle school teacher, middle school principal, and then I was a pastor for 10 years. So I love meeting people and hearing stories and just seeing what everybody's doing. That's probably, I think I put down, I've been reading a lot, walking a lot, missing people the most. I adore my family, but Zoom does not cut it for me. Online church is not church. So I tolerate it. But wow, I can't wait to gather again and be with people, real skin and flesh. So that's my thing. So.
Oh, cool. Thanks for joining us, guys. And I totally agree with you, Jeff. Yeah, ready to see people face to face. And I'm a video guy, and I'm sick of video. So sorry.